This is the final part of a 6-part series of videos that were recorded at Model Rail Scotland in 2020. There is plenty for everyone, with layouts in a variety of gauges. If you're new to the Heritage and Model Rail channel, become a subscriber and don't forget the bell icon. This N-gauge layout is the Circle Line, exhibited by Terry Tasker. So I'm here with Terry Tasker and I'm looking at the Circle Line, just about to go and ask him a few questions.
Well, it was about 9 years ago now. I was at an exhibition and Backman had a demonstration flat board with 3 lines running round it, about the same size as this, 58 inches across. And I just thought, well, there's a layout there to be built. How can I do it? Because I've got 7 other layouts at home and I had no room for this one, so I decided to cut a hole in the middle and I'd be able to stand in the middle and just build it. It's the Circle Line. So people think it's to do with London Underground. Sorry to disappoint them.
The buildings and whatever on the thing, is they scratch or all?
Most of it's all scratch. The buildings are scratch. The tunnel, the cutaway, if you like, that was by Mercia. It was a kit, and I just thought to myself, that look, for a cut-in, it just looks right. So I put that in. The inspiration for the scenery came from my wife. She does a lot of cloth sculpture modelling, and she uses a fabric hardener called Pavapol, which is from the Netherlands. And all this scenery at the top and right the way round is an old t-shirt dipped in Pavapol, and once it's dry it goes rock hard, so you can drill into it and put in the trees. I even dip the trees in it so it goes rock hard, and it's waterproof as well, which is handy. If you make a mistake as it's drying, you get a hairdryer and warm it up, and you can still manoeuvre it into position. It's an excellent thing. I'm not a salesman for Pavapol or anything like that, but it is a better way of modelling because it's solid. It really is solid, and that's why I've no backs in my shirts, because that's where it's all here now.
What sort of track is it?
It's N-gauge, Pico, Code 100.
Right. And points, are they?
They're all Pico, everything. I don't do building or anything like that. Majority of stuff is what I had left over. I think I only had to buy about 3 points, and the point motors are Pico as well.
What control have you got?
I've got the Gauge Master Model D. It's a double header, if you like, one for the inner line and one for the outer line, and a set of working lights, which I keep forgetting to switch over to green, and I get reminded by people, you've just shot a red light. I said, well, I'll sack the driver.
What's your stock?
All my stock is ready to run, and what over the years I've been going round these exhibitions and buying up as much. You see them, faulty wagon or this, that, and you buy them. It's usually a wheel that's not right, or coupling that's not right. You can repair them quite easily. Some of the wagons nowadays are like £45 for 2. Well, you can't justify that. So I look for broken second-hand ones that nobody else wants, which are poor. So therefore, it makes the hobby cheaper rather than being ridiculous.
Operating is just a single person, just you.
It's me at the moment. I've got an operative who's wandering around spending somebody else's money at the moment. But
and trying to hide it from the wife. Eh?
Most probably will do. Yes, we're all guilty of that. But I've learnt over the years, when my wife says to me, "Oh, that's new," I'll say, "No, I don't think it is. I've had it ages," because that's what she tells me when she says, "I've got a new dress here, but I've had it ages."
This N-gauge layout is Melton Mowbray, exhibited by John Spence and Steve Weston. The line through Melton Mowbray was a joint venture between the Great Northern and London and North Western Railway Companies, opening for traffic in 1879. The Great Northern Railway built the northern part of the line, from junctions on the Nottingham to Grantham line, where one branch also ran north to their main line at Newark. The southern part of the line, from Market Harbour to Melton Mowbray, was built by the LNWR as an extension to their line from Rugby. In addition, there was a spur some several miles south of Melton to a terminus station at Leicester Belgrave Road. Traffic was diverse, coal and ironstone being the two major minerals conveyed by the railway, and during the hunting season the aristocracy would send their mounts and later arrive themselves at the rather grand station on the north side of the town centre, very near to the cattle market, which also was a major source of trade in the town. After World War II, as social conditions changed, the line gradually fell into decline and local passenger trains were terminated in 1953. However, during the summer months, excursions from Leicester to the East Coast resorts, particularly Skegness, were a feature at the weekends. Freight traffic continued until the final closure in 1964. Sadly, little remains of the railway, and this model is a tribute to its former glory. Also built as a joint venture, the model is run in two eras. First from 1948 to 1953, showing the line as it was with local passenger and freight traffic regularly passing through. However, we also imagine what things might have been in between. 1957 and 1962 had the line come under the supervision of the Midland region of British Railways, following the modernisation plan of 1955, and seen the dawn of the diesel age. In an attempt to revise usage, we imagine through trains were reintroduced from Rugby to both Nottingham and Newark, the latter accessing the East Coast main line. This O-gauge layout is Jackson's Yard, exhibited by Chris Stafford from the South Tyneside O-gauge group. Jackson's Yard was originally Napier Street, created by the Model Railway Journal team. It had various owners over the years and has now become part of the South Tyneside O-gauge group layouts. We have set Jackson's Yard in the industrial heart of northeast England during the late 1950s to 1960s. The track layout lends itself to a lot of shunting, and as such we'll see a lot of different freight coming and going from the many industries that were based in the northeast. We think the layout was originally end to end, but when we took ownership the right hand side had been blanked off. We have since opened it up to create another fiddle yard and will enable us to do through running. This has allowed a basic passenger service through the yard, but emphasis is on freight movements. Types of locos visiting the yard are J27, J39, Q6, Standard 2, 3s and 4s. Green diesels visiting will be class 03, 05, 15, 20, 31s and 37s. Operation is full DCC sound using Rocco's Z21 system and all points controlled by Tortoise motors and Megapoint servos. This EM gauge layout is North Ballachulish, exhibited by Andy Cooper. The scenario is that the Callander and Oban Railway had an act passed to build a railway to Fort William and on through the Great Glen to link Oban, Fort William with Inverness. There was such an act put before Parliament in reality, but it failed as the good burghers of Fort William objected to a railway along the front of the loch. Taking advantage of the easier running over the north branch of Loch Leven, a branch was made at North Ballachulish to enable goods workings to the Kinloch Leven aluminium smelter. The station building is scratch built and based on Talyllyn on the real Ballachulish branch. Plans were obtained for the building from the Scottish Records Office. A simple goods yard with coal merchant completes the scene. Signals are built from MSE components and other scratch-built parts. All the buildings are built from styrene sheet from various manufacturers. Track is C&L fine scale, the points being scratch-built using ply sleepers, Code 75 bullhead rail and X-Acto scale chairs. Set in 1970-71, apart from the passengers traffic from the ubiquitous 27s and 26s and 20s down from Inverness, there are goods workings to Kinlochleven carrying grain for the distilleries, and oil traffic as well as some van and 16-ton mineral traffic. All the buildings are from the North Ballachulish area, included the cottage group on the corner and also St Bride's Church and the Manse, which are all situated in their exact location. This 0 and 16.5mm gauge layout is Talybont Llanbrneglwys Railway. A layout featuring 3 scenes representing a Welsh narrow gauge slate railway from the quarries to the exchange sidings. The name was taken from a village north of Aberystwyth, but the layout is not a model of any particular line. These railways were built to transport slate down from the hills to ports or mainline railways, and passenger carrying was often a secondary consideration. The model assumes the continuation of the slate traffic alongside a growing tourist passenger operation. The quarry area shows the foot of an incline and the slate dressing shed. From here the mineral line runs from Llanbrneglwys, where the locomotives are changed, to those suitable for journeys to Talybont and vice versa. This is also the upper terminus for public passenger services from Talybont. The line runs through some spectacular scenery, over a river bridge to a passing loop, where there is a branch to a granite quarry. The trains continue to the terminus and exchange sidings at Talybont, where the slate is unloaded and empty wagons return to the quarry. Standard gauge wagons in the exchange siding allow the onlooker to contrast standard and narrow gauge stock. The locomotives are built from kits and include locomotives from the Talyllyn and Festiniog railways, the Penrhyn, Llanberis and Port Dinorwic quarry railways, and even a small Scottish visitor from the Campbelltown and Machrihanish railway. The station building at Talybont is a model of wharf station, and the engine sheds are based on those on the Talyllyn railway. This layout is Muckstan Hollow, which is exhibited by the 00 Gauge Association. At model railway shows there are stands promoting different track gauges. The 00 Gauge Association had a small layout on their stand, so I decided to investigate. The layout, called Muckstan Hollow, was built by Elizabeth Thompson, who told me all about it.
We're with the 00 Gauge Association, and the stands of associations very often have leaflets and people working on their own, and we thought for a lot of people they might want to see something a little bit more, and we like trains, we like railways, and so I like those, so thought, well, it might be nice to build a little layout. I think it's 16 inches wide and it's 1 metre long.
And that's just one board, is it?
Yes, it is, yes.
Your buildings, what are they, scratch or kit?
Some are, now let me see. The buildings are, one of the things with this was to try to give people the idea that they could do different things that didn't necessarily involve having to know about how to lay a track. I can lay a track, but don't have to. But what we wanted was to make people aware who might be friends or spouses or partners of a railway fanatic and didn't want to do the railways, but they actually wanted to do something. And that the engine shed is completely kit bashed from a farmhouse, a Metcalfe farmhouse. The station is an old plastic kit that's been around, it's been lying around for about 20 years in our house. So the houses are super quick. The church is a super quick.
Your track, what's your track?
It's Pico 83, isn't it?
Your control system is DCC?
Mm-hmm.
Your stock is what?
It's a mixture. Well, Bluebell is from Hattons. Bodiam is old Hornby. The tram engine is through the model rail magazine, but made by Rapido, I believe.
An operation is just one person can operate it.
Oh yes, yes.
This O-gauge layout is Bankfield Road, exhibited by John and Jackie Neeshaw. Bankfield Road was purchased as a layout that had been previously exhibited. There was a small station, a canal basin and a factory siding. Measuring 10 feet by 2 feet, the layout is built in 3 sections. Quite a bit of remedial work was required to allow stock to run smoothly, plus there were several damaged buildings. Jackie searched for a suitable back scene and came across a range of Victorian and Edwardian houses supplied by Kirtley Models. The original 12-volt DC was replaced with a DCC system controlled by a Lenz LZV100 command station. Stock is kit built apart from a ready-to-run EE 350 horsepower diesel shunter. This double O-gauge layout is Elliot Bridge, exhibited by Stirling and Clackmannanshire District Model Railway Club. Elliot Bridge was a layout inspired following a family holiday in the Buxton and Chesterfield area of central England, seeing various freight and passenger trains working there. Planning the layout included areas of double track and passing loops, a small station and a distribution point on the lower section, and a bridge crossing on the river, all set in a countryside location. A 4th track top area to suit conventional stock users and a low level with single track and a smaller fiddle yard is included, so club members wishing to use DCC fitted locomotives could also enjoy using the layout. Layout boards were constructed using 3-inch and 1-inch timbers and 1/2-inch plywood, for the top was glued and screwed. These boards sit on CLS timber legs and are fixed using bolts and captive nuts. Transportation of the layout to exhibitions was a big consideration in the design of Elliot Bridge. The tracks were laid out and the landscape formed using polystyrene, which was glued to the boards. The river running under the bridge was created using very fine river sand, glued down with PVA glue and varying sizes of stone added. A small weir was formed at the rear and coated with varnish to create a dull riverbed. The track and points are all Pico. Point motors are of various types and on the fiddle yard are surface mounted, but on other parts of the layout they are fitted using underneath Fulgurex point motors. Coloured lights are fitted using the Traintronic system. The working semaphore signals are all hand-built by club members, and these look realistic on the lower sections, as does the level crossing. There are 2 control panels which control the track and fiddle yard area on the upper level. A 3rd controller for the DCC lower track and fiddle yard are also required. 3 operators are required to work the layout and a 4th person to maintain the fiddle yard. The stock on Elliot Bridge is detailed and weathered, including locomotives from Hornby, Bachmann. Wagons are a mixture of Hornby, Bachmann and Dapol. My thanks to Jeff for providing the information. To watch more videos like this, click on the playlist and I'll see you there.